Alrighty boys, you know what time it is. We're finally back with another episode of the Rate My Ride video series. So if you guys don't know already, the Rate My Ride video series is basically a series where I have my viewers send in cars that they want me to review and react to, and then I make one final video going over all the cars for each set round. So for this time, we're taking some drift car submissions from a bunch of different games, not just GTA 5. Figured it was probably pretty on brand given the nature of my channel, and I love just drifting culture in general, so I'm really excited to see some of the builds we've got. Really quickly as well, if you guys do want to take part in another round of Rate My Ride in the future, feel free to just hop in the Discord server. The link to the Discord is going to be in the description, and in there you can just go to the Rate My Ride tab and you can read on all the rules, give yourself the roles, and you'll be set to go for the next time we run another round of submissions. So with that all being said, let's get into reviewing these drift cars. First of all, we got Termal, pretty awesome drifter in GTA 5. He's appeared in quite a few of my videos with the Annis Remus in GTA 5. It's a build I made way back now, originally based on a simpler build. Shout out to H1I Gamer. He is the car plug. He sells everybody every kind of car imaginable. Sold him this car and he did it up really nicely. And as you guys can see here, it's got this almost like red, metallic red with almost like a cherry or a candy red pearl. That's a really beautiful color. He's got some nice old SSR style mesh wheels. I'm actually not sure what kind of wheels those are, but those are really pretty. They kind of fit that like mid 90s drift aesthetic for sure. Not sure about that rear diffuser. I think that's a little bit too much given the rest of the car. It's all very clean. I think that's just a little bit too much, but regardless, still very clean build, and he's obviously putting it to good use with the drift tuning. So probably gonna give this thing an 8 out of 10. It reminds me a lot of a build I would do. I think it's pretty similar to my Remus as well, so props to that. Very cool build for sure. Next up here we've got a right knob or the glowing nugget in Gran Turismo 7. That's cool. He's got an 88, I think he means 89 Nissan S13. A car I spent 5 hours building one day because I have no life. Honestly, no idea why or what I think, but here it is. I can't get any pics of it drifting because I can't use the editor well enough for that. Oh, that's all good. I can still kind of pick up on the drift inspiration. This thing's sick, man. I love this like burnt orange color. I think that's like a carbon hood. I really like the colorway that he's chosen with like the really clean burnt orange, and then he's got some white and then some black accents kind of all over the car. I really like that when there's enough contrast between each element or each color on the car, but it's still not too loud or in your face. And I think this build in particular is super clean. Got some nice aggressive aero, but I think it fits the whole drift aesthetic. Yeah, man, this thing is super clean. Maybe not sure about that big wang in the rear, but regardless, this thing is a very pretty car, and hopefully it drifts quite well. I really don't know much about the drifting physics in Gran Turismo, but I imagine it can drift pretty well given the way he's talked about it. But yeah, I think I'd give this build like a 9 out of 10 or something. This is definitely something I'd build if I had Gran Turismo. Looks very clean. Good job on the build, and the pics are beautiful as well. Next up here we got Eat Your Veggies on PSN and Insta in GTA 5 with the Futo GTX. While I use this car for show, bringing it to car meets to show off her unreleased Las Venturas plates. That's cool. Car also rips it up. You can catch this panda drifting through the Toge of LS with the mountains on the license plate to match. There we go. We got a nice Panda 8.6. He kind of nailed that color scheme with the white on the black. Super simple, but it's super iconic and it gets the job done. I like the OEM style wing in the back there on the hatch. And yeah, man, you can't go wrong with one of these cars. This thing is absolutely beautiful, nice and clean. And he's putting it to good use with the drift tuning. This thing absolutely rips. It's a little bit finicky, but once you get the hang of this car, it's an absolute blast to drive and drift, and this thing looks very pretty as well. I don't know if he has drift tuning on this or just normal low grips and stance, but regardless, this thing is absolutely beautiful. 9 out of 10 for sure. Sometimes the simpler builds just really hit hard, and I think that's the case with this car, so keep it up. Also, the pics are absolutely beautiful, so yeah, great job. Eat Your Veggies. Appreciate ya. Next up, we got Maz. Oh my god, every single submission he makes, he kills it. Show style D-car, full Works 9 kit, Origin over fenders, hood design, crazy spec wheels, full interior tune-up, baller SR setup, good fitment, basically the whole package that would get you good style points back in the day. Oh man, Maz, you're killing me, man. Every single time he drops these bangers, this thing is so cool. So I believe this is a lore friendly mod. So this is a Remus, but it's done up with a lot of lore friendly parts in GTA 5. So like Works 9, as opposed to, I don't know what that's based off of in real life, but maybe not. Actually, I don't really know, but it's still got the Annis Remus badges. So I'm thinking it's kind of a lore friendly version of like a drift car you'd see in real life. This thing is absolutely insane. Love like the VHS vibe on this. Love the over fenders. Love that. The stance of this thing is aggressive. He's got some Meisters up front, or Meisters all around, I think. Crazy motor setup. I don't know if he made the models himself, but I know he makes a lot of extra 3D car part mods for GTA 5. So if he did that for this one, extra props for that. Love this style. I'm a sucker for like the low slung stance. Ganondorf mirrors as well. Hot Boy flames on the hood. This thing hits so hard, man. Oh, if we had access to this in vanilla GTA, I would go insane. But regardless, you guys already know, it's a submission from Maz, 10 out of 10 automatically. Totally not biased or anything. I actually love the way this car looks, and I love that blue as well. This thing hits hard, man. You guys already know, Maz is always bringing out the banger, so 10 out of 10 for sure. Great job, dude. Next up, we got Cazze in CarX Drift Racing Online. This is the Pirate in the game, which is based off the C33 Laurel. Current iteration of the car I've been using in CarX forever now. Light inspiration was taken from Kaita Racer cars. That's really cool. With the extras on the wing and the fenders, I can see that. Placed second in a comp with it. I think that might be NTNS's comp. I'm not sure, but definitely let me know. Overall, just one of my favorite cars to ever be made. Sitting on Volk Racing 21Cs. That's beautiful. That's sick. Makes, I believe, 600 to 650 horsepower with 800 torque out of a VR38. So he's got the GTR motor swap on top of all the unique classic 1990s style bits. This thing's crazy, man. This thing is an amazing build. I love this livery. I think it's a little busy though, all of the flames. I would have rather had like more continuous flames, if that makes sense, but regardless, he's got this crazy it's definitely an iconic build, definitely not one I'd make myself. I feel like the additions on the hood are just way too much. I think that's overkill. Everything else looks all right and passable, but just the additions on the hood there I'm not a fan of, but that's just personal preference. But regardless, I love the body kit, I love the wheels, I love everything else about it. The fact that it's nice and loud and in your face. He's got the neons as well. Yeah, this is a really unique build, and he's putting it to good use in CarX comps. So big shout out to Cazze. Gonna give this thing probably an 8 out of 10. This thing's really cool. And shout out for the GTR motor swap as well. That thing probably rips. Next up, we got ZelStance in GTA 5 with the Annis ZR350. I present to you the pole magnet. Oh man, this got a bit of a story, but I'll continue reading this. D1 GP styled ZR350, main drift car in GTA, same as mine. And it's a great car to drift with the drift tune. However, my drifting skill does not reflect this at all, as I drove this car and ate crap from a pole in one of Suzuka's drift contests on my first run, which I was there for, hence the nickname. So that was basically the story. Zel sauced it in for an entry, and he went a little too wide and hit the poles. So yeah, that's why he calls it the pole magnet, but we still love him for it. This thing is absolutely amazing. I don't know if this is my crew color, but I think it reminds me of it. It's a little bit brighter than the ultra blue, but this thing hits, man. I love the way this thing looks. Nice long exposure shot there with the motion blur. I love this livery, man. This is a different livery to mine. I don't think I have this version of the livery unlocked, but if I did, I would definitely put this one on instead. My car kind of has a little bit more pinkish red in the stripes on this livery, but this livery is amazing. I love the fact that he matched up the kind of same shade of pink on the wheels there. That definitely matches up with the livery as well. This thing looks sick. Maybe I get rid of the exhaust. I don't really know about the exhaust, but regardless, he's got the big wang. Everything else definitely works on this car. Very iconic color scheme, and yeah, definitely gonna give this thing a 9 out of 10. I just love the styling of this, and I love the ZR350. I used to not love this car as much, but now that I've drifted it more with the drift tuning, man, I just love the way it looks. I love the styling. I love the way it handles. So yeah, definitely an iconic car for sure. Thank you, Zel, for the submission. This thing is so clean. Next up, we've got Bella in BeamNG with the D series. Okay, so I guess that's referring to the brand of the truck. Just a fun little drift truck I threw together. Makes like 500 horsepower and hella fun to slide. This thing doesn't really look on the surface like a truck you'd want to drift. It looks like just kind of a stock truck, but definitely fits into that like sleeper vibe, I guess. Nice eBay Altezza style taillights there, mismatched body panels, but yeah, 500 horsepower. This thing's gotta rip. It's a little bit high off the ground. I mean, I don't know, drift trucks have always kind of intrigued me, but it's never something I think I'd do myself. But regardless, this thing's pretty cool. Nice sleeper drift build for sure. Would love to see this thing in action, because I know BeamNG drifting is hard. So yeah, pretty unique build. I'm probably gonna give this thing a 7 out of 10. Still pretty cool though. Next up, we've got the Smokin' in CarX Drift Racing Online with the Shark GT, which is the E60 M5. This is my low effort gate build drift taxi recreation gate build, which means street car. Oh, okay. So to host track day festivals in Scandinavia, and they have their own drift taxis, which you could pay 600 krones, 60 USD, and they take you for a ride around the track. I think I've seen a few of these cars ripping on Instagram. That's awesome. That's an amazing program. I wish they did something like that in the United States, but regardless, this thing is super sick. The E60 M5s, man, these cars in real life, they sound nuts. So I can't imagine. Obviously it's CarX, so it probably won't sound as good, but still fun to think about. This thing's sick. I love the wide body. Love the you can still see the original fenders in there as well, but he did a great job recreating the livery and all that. I love the roof rack as well. Kind of fits into that almost kind of sleeper vibe. Not really too out there or too crazy, but it gets the job done when it's drifting, man. This thing's sick. Nice long wheelbase car. I imagine this thing handles like a dream on track, and yeah, I really respect the recreation. So I'm probably gonna give this thing like an 8 out of 10. This thing's really cool. Very unique take on a drift build for sure. Next up, we got H1I Gamer, the car plug, selling cars to everybody all across GTA, but regardless, he's got the Annis ZR350. Clean and simple drift build, my favorite RX-7 to drift. I definitely agree. So this actually has the white stock wheels. So these are the stock wheels painted white. Looks amazing. The stock wheels on the ZR350 hit so hard. They look so good on this car, especially when they're painted the right color. Got the yank plates on there. Very simple build for sure. Nice interior with the gauges and everything. Very simple build for sure. I think this color is either like a brown or red. I'm not quite sure. But regardless, very clean build. Very simple. Gets the job done. H1i Gamer absolutely rips it on the track. So yeah, gonna give this thing an 8 out of 10. This thing's super clean, super not in your face. I feel like I'm saying super a lot, but this thing's really cool, man. 8 out of 10 for sure. This thing's awesome. Next up, we got Shaq in Gran Turismo 7 with the Mazda Atenza. That's cool. So basically, I pulled a TJ Hunt and put GT3 bodywork on a road car. The livery is inspired by the 787D from Mad Mike, and it's quite fitting because the car is the 4-rotor from the 787B, and it's boosted, making 989 horsepower. Oh my gosh, dude, this thing is insane. I love the Renown livery. Very iconic livery for pretty much any Mazda. I think even Adam LZ recreated this for his, well, totally different car, Toyota Supra, but Renown livery, very iconic, and this thing hits, man. I don't know if Shaq did the livery himself. I imagine he did, but that's beautiful. I love the blue with the white. That is so cool, man. This is one of the most unique drift builds I think I've ever seen. Those wheels are absolutely massive. Looks like it gets the job done on the track, man. I love the unique builds like these. Totally unexpected car you'd see absolutely ripping on the track with one of the most unique motor swaps. Man, Gran Turismo, I'm missing out. I haven't played that game ever in my life, but I feel like it'd be an awesome game to play one day. So yeah, shout out Shaq for repping the Gran Turismo crew. This thing, automatic 10 out of 10. This thing is so freaking cool, super unique, and I'm glad he's putting it to good use on some drift tracks. So yeah, huge shout out to Shaq. Thank you for the submission, man. This thing's crazy. Next up, we got Juicy, another OG in GTA Online with the Annis Remus. Simplistic project car drift build for drifting around the state of San Andreas. I think I've seen this build before. I'm not sure, but I love this green. I really like this shade of green. I don't know if this is a vanilla green or a crew color, but regardless, he's got the NK wheels, or not, maybe not the NK. I was thinking they're NK92s, but they might be the BBS style wheels. I'm not exactly sure, but regardless, I wish he'd get a little bit more close-up shots. It's kind of hard to see some of the finer details because the car's so far away in the pictures, but from what I can see, man, this thing's pretty clean. Not quite sure about the interior color. I might just leave it black. I don't know. It looks kind of bright and a little bit too kind of crazy looking, but regardless, everything else about the build I think is pretty clean. Nice shopping list livery. It adds enough onto the car that it's not super crazy or in your face. Very clean and refined. I'm probably going to give this thing, again, I wish I could see some of the finer details, but from what I can see, I'm going to give this thing a 7 out of 10. Not my first choice for color, but I think he made it work. And overall, yeah, just a pretty clean build. Next up, we got Alucard in Assetto Corsa with Zhonghua Zidantu. Please don't roast me in the comments. I know I messed up that name. CHB6401TA. Crazy busy name. The heavenly principal has arrived. Xi Jinping has sent me here to show you how to drift in China. This is real drift. Non-believers and haters will say this is not drift. 94 horsepower front wheel drive, epitome of perfection. And not reading that last part. This thing, oh man, look at how skinny those tires are, man. This thing's crazy. I don't know if this is actually real. This reminds me so much of a Saturn or something. This looks so much like a Saturn with those headlights. Almost looks like an Integra front end or something. I have no idea what this car is, but regardless, looks pretty cool, pretty unique styling. Those tires are like rubber bands almost, and they sent a clip as well. I'm not they sent a video of it drifting as well. Definitely not playing the music because of potential copyright reasons, but man, I don't know if they're just power sliding it or what. It's kind of hard to tell based on the video effects. This is probably one of the memeiest submissions we've ever gotten for Rate My Ride, but this thing's cool. I don't even know what to think. This thing's just crazy. I don't know. Definitely 10 out of 10. Absolutely perfect for catching me completely off guard. And if they're actually able to drift this thing, then mad props to them. So thank you, Alucard, for making one of the funniest and most unique Rate My Ride submissions ever. 10 out of 10 just because of how out there that is. That's crazy. Oh man. Okay, next up we got Rai in GTA 5M with the BMW M4. That's rare. I knew Rockstar was kind of cracking down on copyrighted cars in 5M. So shout out to Rai for having access to this car. Random build I had thrown together when I was bored, in all honesty. I do like how it turned out though. Bad picks though, my fault. All good. We can still see some of the finer details. This thing's hard, man. This thing's slammed to the floor. So this is an M4 convertible, I believe. So not my first choice with the M4 vert, but regardless, I think just the stance of the car and everything like that, this thing's super sick. A little bit too low. Not sure if that's functional drift height, but regardless, this thing's super sick, and it's an M4 and it's a BMW, so it probably gets down. Long wheelbase, lots of power, probably rips. So yeah, pretty cool build, very clean, very refined, and you know, the vert's kind of unique. It's obviously not my first choice, as I said, but still a pretty unique choice for a drift car for sure. So I'll probably give this thing like a 7 out of 10. This thing's pretty clean. Good job, Rye. Thank you for the submission. Next up, we got Sinky and GTA Online with the FR36. Favorite build he's done in the FR36 so far. This thing hits, man. Oh my gosh. I love, first of all, the color. So I don't know if this is a crew color or whatever with like an epsilon base, but regardless, it's got like this, it's almost like a silver with a little bit of blue in it as well. And what I love is the fact that he used the bright pink on the interior and stuff and on the roll cage to match up with some of the bright pink bits on the livery. That looks so good. He's got the merged Benny's wheels on there as well. Super Hot Boy wheels. They don't fit perfectly on this car, but I think just the deep dish styling and just the detail of the rims, that thing is so sick. Definitely a really awesome Hot Boy style drift build. Definitely something that I would do. I'm not sure about the wheels, but the rest of the build reminds me of a build I'd like to do with like a crazy D1 GP style livery and just a Hot Boy style drift build for sure. And I'm a sucker for the G35s, man. I daily one of these, so yeah, definitely not one this cool, but still, it reminds me a lot of my daily driver, and I just love these cars. Love the way he's kitted this one out. I'm gonna give this thing a 10 out of 10 for sure. This thing's super clean, man. Keep it up, Sinky. He's always got the bangers. Great job on the build. Next up, we got Bohemian or Smokey, and this is gonna be a long submission, but there's all of his socials and stuff. This is the anistream is called Wasabi in GTA Online. What's spicier than a plant that tastes like a hot mustard and horseradish and a borderline eki anime involving some criminally lewd, not gonna read that. That's right, an overturned inline 4, overtuned inline 4 with hundreds of horsepower under the hood, ready to put your drifting skills to the test thanks to a bespoke differential, custom tires and suspension tuning, and a steering angle wider than, not reading that. These anistreams can carry almost any angle through any corner, but beware, it might be easy to unleash the beast, but you still have to tame it in order to avoid the nearest wall. That is very true. The visuals were inspired by Japan's Itasha style, involving the use of anime characters and fancy details to complete the livery. 2000s aesthetic with the green neon lights to illuminate the underbody and the grille, been fitted with a matching lime green super luxe wheels to further emphasize on the green accents. Will you be the one to take control, or will you be the passenger to a wild machine? Either way, make sure to wear your seatbelts and a helmet. Dude, but Smokey or Bohemian now, he always makes the craziest, most unique stories with his builds, and I love the vibe of this aesthetic. This thing's so cool. On first glance, some people might think that this thing's riced out, but if you know the story and you know the aesthetic behind the car and you get past the fact that you can't lower the Remus anymore after it has the drift tuning, this thing is super sick. I love the green aesthetic that he matched throughout with the Itasha livery. Really like when a build like this is really well thought out and coordinated like that with the colors and everything like that. I can't tell what the primary is. I think it's a black, but it almost looks a little purpley to me in the light. I'm not sure if that's just the lighting trick, but regardless, very cool build. Interesting story to say the least, but some of the styling and this graphic especially, this thing goes so hard. Love the Wasabi build. Definitely gonna give this thing a 9 out of 10. Shout out to Smokey. Crazy story, awesome build, and eager to see what he submits in the future as well, because he always pulls out the best when he submits to Rate My Ride. Next up, we got Sewervex in Car Drift Racing Online with the GT86. Not sure what it's called in the game, but regardless, I like how this turned out. Good build for the GT86. This thing's cool, man. I like the FRS BRZ styling for these builds, especially with the Pan and wide body kit. You can make them look really bad, or you can make them look really good, and I think this thing kind of nails the aesthetic. It's got like this almost military green paint scheme with the outlines for the fenders. That's really cool, and then the carbon bits as well. The only thing I don't like with this build is the wheel size. Those wheels are way too small, dude. These maybe a couple inches more on the diameter of the wheels, I think they'd fit, but they just look almost comically small. Everything else about the build I absolutely love the Panem Rocket Bunny aesthetic. He didn't go super crazy with it, definitely kept the exterior clean, and if it's in Car X, I'd imagine this car handles pretty well in the game. So yeah, definitely love all that except for the wheels, so I'm gonna give this thing probably a 7 out of 10. That rear fitment also needs a little bit of work, but regardless, still a pretty clean build for sure. Next up, we got 5 stars. Game a secret, definitely Roblox. Extreme Stance Ferrari. I will not be cease and desisted. Shout out Whistling Diesel, but still, this is what did he say it was? Is this a Testarossa? I'm not sure. Either way, Roblox drifting looks way more fun than I give it credit for, and if he's actually drifting this car in the game, then shout out to him, because it's probably really fun. He's got 3-spoke wheels, which I'm definitely a sucker for, but the fitment, this camera is just way too much. So I'm gonna give this thing, if this was a serious submission, I'm not sure if it was, but regardless, I'm probably gonna give this thing a 5 or maybe a 6 out of 10. That's about it. The tri-spokes definitely helped recoup it, but that fitment is absolutely horrific, and it's in Roblox, so I'm not quite sure how to feel about that. This better get thumbnail. I don't think it will. Okay, definitely wasn't his real submission. submission, thank God. Okay, this is his actual submission in Forza Horizon 5. Ferrari should be chosen. Yeah, definitely not. One of my old builds of an MR2 back when I played on PC. Interesting choosing an MR2 as a drift build. This thing absolutely hits, man. This blue looks so good. It almost looks like a little bit of a calsonic blue, I think. And he's got the rotiform wheels. These wheels are a little bit too new for this car. I probably would have gone for something a little smaller and a little bit older, but I think these are a tribute to a different style of wheel. I'm not quite sure exactly what they're based on, but I like the styling regardless. This thing's sick, man. The fact that he's using it for drifting is definitely a ballsy choice for sure. I know any sort of rear engine car is kind of not the best choice for a drift car, but it looks like he's ripping it. Looks like he's having fun with it. Very clean build, doing the best that he can with the modifications available in Forza Horizon 5. So I'm gonna give this thing a 9 out of 10. Definitely way better than whatever abomination he submitted from Roblox. So shout out to 5 stars. This thing's really cool. Next up, we got Saturny in GTA 5 with the Fudo GTX. The Fudo doesn't get much love in this update. Yeah, I agree with that. So I decided that I dropped my own that is inspired off of an IRL build that I saw somewhere but wasn't able to find the original picture. That's cool. Regardless, this thing is so sick. I love this livery with the yellow stripes. I really love the way that this livery looks. However, I think the one thing I changed about this build is the primary yellow. I'd make it a slightly different shade and almost kind of clashes with the yellow of the livery. If there's maybe a way to paint the primary so it matches the yellow on the livery, or maybe go for like a white, I don't know. It almost kind of blends in a little bit too much with the livery. I really don't like that base shade of yellow. I love the livery choice and I love everything else about the car. Everything from the tri-spoke wheels to the body panels and all that stuff. Absolutely love that. And also the Yankton plates, which is really cool as well. And the fact that they're using it for drifting is great, but that primary color, I think maybe brighten it up or maybe go for a totally different color so it doesn't clash as much with the yellow on the livery. But still, very clean build. Love the styling of the Fudo, especially with this livery, of course, as a base, and the tri-spoke wheels. Definitely nailing that 90s style with the wide body as well. Gonna give this thing a 7 out of 10 for sure. Great job. Next up, we got NFS 15XXL Dominic Toretto family. GTA 5 with the Ubermax Sentinel. That's cool. Sentinel is an original replica of a BMW E30 Group A race car. I put my time and money into the car. I found an original photo from the vehicle as well. That's cool. Definitely love the IRL inspiration, although we're mainly focused on drift cars. And the detail in this picture is awfully low res. Would have loved to see this car slightly closer. I think he nailed the replica, but as a drift car, I'm not quite sure. I think this is more of a, what is it, like a Group A race car. So definitely something more in that vein, not necessarily a drift car. So kind of didn't hit on the theme, but I still like the build regardless. And I love that Rockstar kind of made a nod to that IRL race car with the livery in GTA 5. That's really cool. He took a lot of time with it. So even though it's not the same theme, I'll probably give this thing like probably a 7 out of 10 or something like that. Definitely would like to see a build that's more in tune with the theme and also some closer high-res pictures, because it's really hard to see some of the finer details of a build he spent so much time on. So yeah, definitely a 6 out of 10 for sure. Next up, we got rmr-2a in Roblox. Okay, this is definitely a better looking build in Roblox compared to what 5 Star submitted earlier. This is a RX-8 26B swapped RX-8 with a custom Itasha livery I made, inspired by Haraguchi's FC RX-7. This thing's sick, man. Oh man, well, maybe I haven't said it before, but the Itasha style is not necessarily my thing, but I love like the base of the livery with like the almost like the checkered flag with the blue, and matching that up with the blue accents on the burnt tip on the exhaust and the bash bar in the rear and whatever graphic is on the front. I would have liked if that graphic continued onto the front bumper. It's kind of awkward the way it just kind of cuts off, but still, this build's super sick. I didn't even know you could make these kinds of details builds in Roblox. That's awesome. So very unique build for sure. Loving some aspects of the livery, not everything about it, but still very clean, very unique build. Love the fitment as well. I think these are some RPF ones, very aggressive drift fitment with a really cool motor swap as well. So I'm gonna give this thing a 9 out of 10. This thing is really cool. I'm baffled with the amount of customization and what you can do with cars in Roblox, but very cool build. Thank you, R Media or rmr-2a. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Next up, we got Bruzy, another Roblox submission. We got a 2020 Toyota Camry, custom made wide body 2020 Toyota Camry that has the VR38 DETT, so it's got a GTR engine. Making this car is a joke, but it actually goes hard. This thing's sick. I don't know if this is necessarily a drift car, but I'd imagine it is a drift car. I think he attached a video as well. This interior, man, Booty Hunter sticker, that's cool. Damn, these things are sick, man. He's got the body pillow in the back. Again, can somebody let me know like what you can do with Roblox customization? I'm not quite sure. Oh, this is just a roller. Would have loved to see this thing actually drifting, but it looks like he's going pretty fast there as well regardless. Very cool build. Not sure if it's perfectly in line with the theme, but I love the way this thing looks with the fitment and the kind of subtle wide body. I love the way these new Camrys look. They're super aggressive, but they're still really clean at the same time. And yeah, kind of the back end of this car, not really my thing with the heart on the tow hook and the huge exhaust tips and stuff like that, but everything else about the build I'm a fan of, so I'm gonna give this thing an 8 out of 10. This is pretty cool for sure. Next up, we got Hiro Miyamashido. Hiro and NFS Unbound. Okay, haven't seen a bunch of cars from that game in a long time, actually. I played that game only once and then stopped playing it. I don't even know when that game came out. It's been so long. But this is the RX-7 Spirit R. You've seen this on several different games. Garage Midnight OEM Plus FD with work M1s. Just enough power and that rotary to slide it for days. Somewhat recognizable, yet also tasteful. Yeah, this thing's really cool. I love. Is this a green window tint? That's a really unique choice for the window tint. I'm not sure if that's exactly what he went for. Maybe it's just, again, a trick of the lighting, but this thing's sick, man. I always love the NFS aesthetic. Although I hate the physics in the game, I love everything else about it. The customization's on point. Stance looks really good, and the photos you can make in this game are absolutely beautiful. So yeah, this thing's really cool. Not sure about the green window tint. I think that is green window tint. Not really sure if that's my thing, but everything else about it, the livery, maybe not that hood. I like the kind of one-piece headlights, but I don't know. I feel like you should have just kept the hood white. But everything else about the build I absolutely love. Love the taillights as well, like the LED custom taillights in the back there with the brap on the license plate and the nice wide wheels. This thing's sick. I'm wondering how he's able to drift it in Need for Speed, because I know the drifting physics in the game are kind of iffy, but the build itself is really, really cool. So I'm gonna give this thing an 8 out of 10. This thing's really nice. Next up, we got PokePlayer 45 in GTA 5 with the Karen Fudo GTX, a car both grandmas and 18-year-olds can get behind. It'll either cost you $30,000 or the old lady 3 doors down will pay you to drag it from behind her shed. This specific one rotted in a field for 25 years before being saved, currently slammed on cut springs and barely running. Nice. It's the perfect vehicle for all of your drifting wet dreams. Note the headlight is broken, the motor wore out. This thing's really cool. I love the stories that you guys tell behind your builds, man. It's always super interesting. Same thing that Smokey did. Brennan also did the same thing. This thing's really cool. I like that he kind of turned the Sleepy Eye mod into something that like was explainable from a story perspective. All the duct taped body panels. I really haven't seen a build that rocks this livery, but it's kind of cool thinking about, you know, the design of the livery and the fact that it's more like rusty styled. The interior is a bit much. I might have just left the interior closer to stock to kind of fit in with that kind of beater car aesthetic, I think. But regardless, this still is a really cool build, really unique build. I think that it even adds the little Dory graphic there next to the Fudo. So Dorifudo, that's really cool. But yeah, regardless, very clean build. And yeah, I really like the story behind this thing. So I'm gonna give this an 8 out of 10. Definitely a very unique take on a Fudo build for sure. Keep it up. These really unique builds like this one, I like it. Even though this is based off of like a crappy beater car, I love the story behind it and I love the inspiration for it. It's kind of cool and I like it. So definitely an 8 out of 10 from me. Thank you, Pokey. Appreciate that. Next up, we got Brave One 2016 with the Rough 3400K. Don't know how to say that brand name. Don't roast me in the comments. And the Crew 2. Okay, Porsche, what do you think when you hear its name? Do you think drift? Nah, I don't think so. This is one of a kind Porsches designed by Roof, or so I think. I don't know. I'm rushing this man. Anyways, I'm not getting into any fancy details, but as a Porsche drift car, a car I like to drift in the Crew 2, because come on, have you ever seen a Porsche drift car? Sometimes in GTA, yes, but in any other game, no. So this is really cool. I love this livery. It's like almost like an FD build or something like that. This thing's sick, man. I love the wide body. I think it fits. I think the stripes on the livery and just the lines of the car kind of fit, and it's not like too ladder in your face. It looks very succinct and very clean and well executed, I think. And the fact that he's able to use it for drifting, again, the Crew 2 is kind of one of those games I really don't know how the drifting physics work. I tried it in Crew Motorfest and absolutely hated it, so I'm interested to see what the changes are in the Crew 2 or if they're any different, but still very cool build. Love the styling of this thing. Very clean. This is almost like something I would do, maybe not for a drift car, but maybe for a track car, but still a very cool build regardless. So I'm gonna give this thing an 8 out of 10. This thing's really cool. Next up, we got Shinuko in Forza Horizon 5 with a C5 Corvette. When you think Chevrolet hasn't gotten anything going, you'd be wrong. Today I present the Screaming Eagle equivalent for cars. This thing's sick, man. Oh, I love this livery. I want to see closer up aspects of the livery, but I like that it's got the whole back end of the car blacked out, and then it's almost like a multicolored livery with like this teal. I wish I could see a little bit more of that because some of the shots are kind of far away, but regardless, very cool build. I'm seeing a lot more C5 Corvettes being turned into drift cars. Definitely a really unique chassis, but I imagine it's quite practical because of the wheelbase and the engine, it being a reliable car generally. I think that's really cool. So I'm glad that he's recreated his own style build here in Forza. That livery, man, I really wish I could see more aspects of the livery because it looks like you put a lot of time into it, but I like the wheel setup. I like the stance of the car. I like that it's really simple and it's getting the job done drifting. So definitely a 8 out of 10 for sure. This thing's sick. Next up, we got Cazze with the very last submission in GTA Online with the Albany Alpha. I may be a little late, but I hope I can still get this in. I'm really glad he did. The Alpha is one of my favorite pre-drift tuning drift cars. It has decent power and a long enough wheelbase to stay stable, plus I always enjoy going for the less obvious option. Facts. Preach, brother, preach. I absolutely love the way the Alpha looks, and it handles amazing as a drift car. It's one of the most unexpected drift cars in GTA 5, and it absolutely rips. Cazze killed it with this build. I can't quite tell what the primary is. It almost looks like a black with a little bit of purple in it. That is beautiful. I love that color. I love the wheel choice as well. It's one of those cars that you can make it look really clean and slam it to the ground, and it doesn't really look like a drift car, and then you start swinging it with the mid-drive speed boost and everything. This thing rips, and it looks like he's having a lot of fun with it. Massive shout out to Cazze for showing the Alpha some love. This is also one of my more favorite low grip drift cars in GTA 5, so this thing, automatic 10 out of 10. This thing's so cool, man. Thank you for the submission. Definitely a great way to cap this episode off. So I'm gonna leave it there, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this round of Rate My Ride, episode 11 this time around. I know I'm pretty slow with these, but hopefully we'll get the ball rolling and hopefully have some more frequent rounds happening in the future. But regardless, thank you all so much for watching this video. I appreciate you watching if you did all the way to the end. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.